Yo, 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 what is going on, COD Familia? It is your boy BN, aka Mr. Kingdom Builder, and today we're taking it back for a little throwback enjoyment on going through another round of suggestions here from the official COD Discord. Now, I love tearing through, and I mean that in a good way, the submitted suggestions from players and just from the community, because I think it's a great way to give insight on where some of the players think the game is going, where maybe they hope it's going, what they'd like to see added in or changed. And then I can give you my opinion on why I may be for something, against something, or maybe abstaining. And so this is going to be kind of the good, the bad, the ugly, possibly, just depending on how it turns out. But let's go ahead and jump right in. This should be fun. I got my agua as usual, and here we go. So number one, here we go. From Kalki. Fix the code redemptions. I am seeing people postings. I am seeing postings from you guys for active codes of the month, with some being declared inactive already. Then for ones that worked, it declares is inactive when my alliance members use it the same hour. I had success with it. Interesting. So I will say this. I think if they're going to post codes, there should be a code channel, and that should just be, you know, so I don't know, somewhere, but where they just have a channel that just says codes, or they post it in the announcements. But when it comes to these becoming inactive, that's kind of always how it is. Like, codes do not stay active forever. So that to me is just more of a realistic expectation. But if some players just don't know that, well, you know, you don't know what you don't know. But that is something that happens. So I'm not sure on this one. If they said, hey, it'd be nice to have a dedicated code channel, then you'd get my sign off. Add shrug in-game emoji. I'm going to totally be in favor of that. Good suggestion there, Harry Onion. We got Rothax says, add an option to make legions move at the same speed when using multi-create or moving them at the same time. This way, cavalry does not get destroyed before all forces arrive when hunting darklings, for example. So basically a toggle similar to in camp after battle that makes all legions move at the same speed of the slowest one. Interesting. I'm not necessarily against this. I think mechanically it makes sense, where it really comes at, this is more of a quality of life update that they're talking about. I don't see how this inherently wouldn't hurt any, or like, it's not going to hurt anything, right? It's obviously just something extra that they would have to add in. However, my opposite view on this is, well, just time it out when you're moving all of them, or be close enough so that way, or if you have to put that unit a little bit farther in the back, right, then you would do it that way. So, I don't know. I mean, I guess I am somewhat tossed here. If they added in, I wouldn't have a problem with it. I just don't know if this is, like, at the top of it. But you know what? Because I'm not totally against it, I'll give you a check. Spicy Bean, make each tier of units look different with its own unique art, especially Longleaf Trents. They have the same. I'm totally for that. If this guy's spitting truth here, I'm all for it. We should be able to solo rally. Gonna go with a hard no on that one, because that's not the point of rallying. Let's just be honest. I don't think anyone showed up to a rally that someone was hosting in some city, and it was just one person there. That'd be weird. Eniel says, people like customizations and standing out from others. I propose the possibility of creating their own character, a character creator for the appearance, plus selection of skills and talent trees from those available in-game. Alternatively, some unique skills in the basic version. It would be an epic hero with skills that are and their coefficients like other epic heroes. And after purchasing a certain package, the character would have skills at the level of a legendary hero. Interesting. Excuse me, still going through some congested sinus stuff. Okay, this is hard, because if you flood the market with new heroes that are being, like, I understand the idea of, hey, it'd be cool if people could customize. However, I think the customizations really are more in aesthetics, right? I think with the selling point, so I'm going to say no for this, because I just think this is too complicated, and it's just too much to expect them to put a system in the game where you can create your own unique character, and then that can be purchased in game as well. Like, that would flood the market with just too many heroes. Though, what I will say is, if you're coming from this, if you come from a different position of aesthetics, and you're saying, hey, it'd be cool if we could create our own outfits or something for our heroes, that are in game, and then it would show that or something if maybe you looked close enough. That might still be hard because the characters are really small. But something like that, you could sell me on a little bit more. We have Zahn says, add more events. I'm going to be honest. This is true that it obviously would be nice, but I also do not believe they should be adding a ton of events all at once. We've talked about this before. Pacing events out when you're adding them into a new game is always going to be the best way to go. And for how they've been doing it thus far, I like it. Sampton GA, add a music box option where you can choose what music you want to play in your base. Maybe make some soundtracks unlockable, like from upgrading your relationship with the commanders. Interesting. I'm not necessarily against the music box one here, where I don't know. It's like, I guess, man, you're kind of taking me back to like Grand Theft Auto, right? You're just like scrolling, like you steal a car in the game, and then you're just playing some music, or you're taking off in your car in your garage, and you're just swapping, being able to hit some buttons to swap the channel or the station. I don't know. This seems like a little bit of a reach for me. Even if it is, this is more quality of life, but like to me, this is not what I would consider to be a priority. I'm not against it, but I don't know about the second part. If it was just the first part, you get a check from me because I would actually be okay with that. I don't think it impacts anything. Heavenly, add free-to-play servers. So this is interesting. I've always been of the mindset that if they added one free-to-play server every 100 or every 500 or every 250, whatever it may be, I've always felt like that could be really cool. Like that could be an interesting thing to do. However, due to the fact that Heavenly's suggestion was not detailed and it's too broad and vague, I'm just gonna abstain at this point. I like the idea, but it has to be well thought out. Suggestions from one. There's utterly no need for map changes. Lessening the amount of behemoths and removing some from Zone 1 is not the most efficient way to encourage alliance versus alliance fights. So stop server testing and make the older server maps the standard. Interesting. So I'm not sure here. Are they saying that on the newer maps, they are lessening the amount of behemoths and removing some from Zone 1? If that is the case, again, I'd have to ask someone, or someone would have to tell me, because I haven't heard anyone say this to me yet. But if that is the case, then what I will say is that, yeah, I do not believe, if you ask me, is there a need to remove the amount of behemoths on the map right now? No, not at all. I think the amount that they've had in the game has been great thus far. I don't see a need to change it. I don't even see a justification or justifiable reason on why you need to change, on why you would need to change it. That would really just be any type of a selling point. I think, again, if it's not broke, don't fix it. And I think this is one of those situations where definitely don't go less. If anything, maybe you go more. But I think right now it's kind of at this nice even keel. We get Tubby Lumpkin. The strongest lowers event is broken. All the player needs to do is build enough troops day one, and they can win the event, or at least be top 5 without participating the rest of the week. It happens in my server all the time. Points should be given. Points should be given daily, based on your rank. Maybe your rank each day could be your point. So first place 1 point, second place 2 points. Overall ranking for the week would be based on points ranked low to high. So the best possible score would be 5. That would be 1 point each day for being in first place. This would be prevent player from only participating on one day and getting top rewards for the entire week. So I'm going to say this. I don't necessarily disagree here, right? I think you don't want to put yourself in a situation where you're... so SLE is a big thing. Let me preface this before I even say that, which is that SLE is one of the events where it's really just a spender event. It's not necessarily meant for free-to-play, generally speaking. And so that's something that people just have to understand overall, because even if you look at a game like Rock or a game like Infinity Kingdom, in those, there's always going to be players that are spending in these types of MGE, Strongest Lord type events. So that has to be universally understood first and foremost. This is why I never recommend free-to-play players to invest heavily into this event. Just do the bare minimum participation rewards per stage, and you're good. So, however, when it comes to having some type of equal point ratio system per each stage, I don't know. Now, do I think it'd be interesting to test this? Sure, 100%. Do I think that it's really going to change anything at the end of the day? Because, sure, would it require people to maybe spend or do certain things at certain stages? Like, so for example, the gathering stage. someone who spends really isn't going to have an overwhelming advantage, with the exception of things like VIP buffs for gathering, and maybe just being able to have max out tech that's already at 10 out of 10 or has max gathering speed bonuses. Like, obviously, basically the margin of error is smaller for specific stages if you were to do some type of point system like this, but the spenders are still going to spend in the events, in the stages that are really giving them the maximum output. So I just don't necessarily see this being a pure fix. Do I see it helping a little bit? Sure, but is it going to help enough to really impact it the way that you want? I just don't think so. But for that, I'll just abstain. Honey says, make an additional table in the tables of the alliance leaders to show the top of the week to gather resources. It would be interesting who and how much for weekly gathering. Yeah, I actually like this. I think this is a good idea. I think adding more quality of life things to the game. I would have loved for this to be a little bit more formatted and a little bit more detailed, but I think we get the general idea. So adding things that are going to give better quality of life for being able to gauge and kind of audit or do stat or data collection for your alliance, I'm always going to be in favor of. My apologies. We got Looch Gooch. Oh God, sorry, it's coming from the throat right now. Whew, intense. We got Lelouch Goose, who says, since many players are complaining about resource nodes being left near empty, this is funny. How about make all RSS nodes spawn for a fixed duration, make new ones spawn just like Darkling Forts? An exception to this rule is that the RSS node would not vanish immediately if there is a legion farming it. Example, a resource node is expiring in 30 minutes while the same is being farmed and can be fully exhausted in 1 hour. In such case, the node duration will extend until the farmer leaves the node, regardless whether fully extinguished or not. In effect, no resource node will be left half full or near empty, and there will always be fresh nodes for everyone. I mean, look, let me just be very clear here. This is something that has plagued, I don't want to say plagued, this will always happen, no matter what. Because you have to understand this. No one, I believe, is really intending to leave a node ungathered. I'm sure there will be some people who are just like, I fully gathered this node, I'm going to go on to the new node, right? But from what, again, and this is where there's a toss-up, because you'll have some people that are on that side of the fence, which is like, all they do is just go from full node to full node to full node and gather. And sure, there will be some people like that. I, for one, don't really care, because I'll gather a node if there's 5k left, because it's not really going to affect me. It's still the same rate at which I'm gathering, and once it's done, I'll be able to go and gather another tile, and in most cases, usually they're full. So it's just really a matter of being diligent and understanding as well that if someone's gathering right before they go to sleep, then there's no way that they're going to be able to regather that node until they wake up. Like, that has to be a realistic expectation, something that does happen. So I don't know. I just don't know if this is really going to be the end-all, be-all, fix for this, because it just is something that it is what it is, right? It's a part of the game. Sometimes Pro says, allow to display members who are constructing or destroying on a building with their Hero Legion's engineering stat like Alliance resource nodes, so that we can choose who gets to continue building, destroying, and allow R4 to kick who is construction. This is weird. I just don't know why maybe if you wanted to, I'm kind of confused here. Like, maybe you don't want someone to build, like maybe someone sent a full march, but you were just doing like a one troop build or something like that, and you're trying to slow build it to get max credits. Maybe that would be a reason on why you'd want to kick someone. I just don't know. I don't know. I mean, I don't know about this one. I'm not necessarily against it, but I would really love for some details to be provided here on examples or reasonings why. So yeah, I'm not going to vote here because there just needs to be more detail. Next person says, Lelouch again. Alliance says, hang on, sweetie. Alliance search to show all established alliances in Tamaris and can be filtered by power, language, region, A to Z. Alliance search to show all. Oh, I see. I wonder if he's saying that because it only shows in the beginning of a kingdom for usually it'll filter by like your region that you're in first, and then it might go to some others. But I see they're saying they just want to be able to see. I mean, you can once they release the Alliance leaderboards, but maybe they're referring to something a little. I'm just not sure why. I think it would be nice to find for this person to explain, well, what's the reasoning behind the suggestion? Like, what are you trying to get out of this? And that's something that, again, it'd be nice to see more people do when they submit suggestions. We have Honey says, make it possible to transport resources from any region using the Alliance market. Otherwise, wait 8+ hours to teleport to the region where you can get or send resources very long, and also return to also wait 8+ hours. If you add this option, there would be no need to teleport there, and it would save a lot of time for players. I'm going to go with a no on this one, only because they have the way the regions work are designed that way on purpose. So that way it is not as easy to just alliance hop from one region to another. This was something that a lot of people would, I don't know if a lot, but a good amount of people would complain about in Rock, on being able just to kind of hop, especially if you're in somewhat of a volatile kingdom or if there's a lot of fighting that are going on, along with them making the adjustments for limiting being able to place center fortresses all anywhere in Zone 1, and now only being able to do it in your affiliated or originating region. So I think a lot of these changes are going in that direction. So something like this, I just don't know to do, because again, the whole, I mean, even in Rock, from my understanding, you would have to be in the alliance with someone to transport resources. Now, maybe that changed at some point, or maybe I'm just off base there, but that just has always been my understanding. So if I look at how COD is set up, where you have to be in the same alliance to transport resources, they would have to change that mechanic in and of itself, and I just don't necessarily think there's a need to do that. I think it makes sense that you can transfer resources for people that you're in an alliance with, rather than not be, or rather than when they're not. Let's go to next one here, which is Harriet. Remove clearing fog gameplay for all future seasons. Yeah, I'm gonna go with a no on here on this one. I think, not to say I like the fog, but I do think it's something where it should be done in the home kingdom, and really where my voice on this is that it should be like, you should be given an option to do it in future seasons. Either you keep the fog and you get all the resources, or you opt to clear the fog but you get none of the resources. Like, to me, I just think that, and then you should have like a CF limit. Like, you have to be CF 15 and above, or CF 16 or 18, whatever it is, and above, in order to get that option going into season 2 or future seasons. So that way you can't just have a new person come in, make an account, clear the fog, and be able to use that as, I don't know, scouting or spying type things. So that'd be nice. Sometimes Pro, give us the ability to see when a player was last online to all members, so we don't have to guess who has been active or not. So this is a good one. However, if Sometimes Pro read the developer feedback for the last month, this individual would know that they already touched on that, and they're going to be coming out with something as well. This is why it's important to take a minute to read through the channels and developer feedback, because your suggestion may have already been answered, and in some of the cases, they have been. So because of that, I'm not going to vote on this either way, because it's already there. Mr. Shabtan, I suggest that we replace the display of build time in the alliance ranking with engineering efficiency. Engineering efficiency measures the number of seconds added to the alliance. Oh. Go open the garage. And then open the door a little bit, please. Thank you. And dog just ran away. It's okay. He'll be back. Measure the number of seconds added to the alliance table by building alliance structures, and it would provide a more accurate representation of each member's performance. So I'm not against this. However, I want to be very clear here, is that regardless if someone is willing to send a unit to build a flag or to build a road or not, or build a fort, is not completely indicative of a player's overall activity and engagement. Some people just view it as, well, it's a toss-up. I'm either going to have this unit that's farming and gathering for my progression, or I'm going to not have that unit doing it and going and building. Usually, once you have more queues available in your city, like once you get to 4 or 5 queues, it's a little bit easier to probably sell that to people going and sending units to help with building flags. And this isn't to say that no one should be doing it. It's just understanding the psychology of a player and why they may or may not choose to send a unit, and how that does not equate to their overall engagement within the alliance. However, adding this as a way to measure that, I have no problem with. We'll do one or two more because I'm coming up to about 20 minutes. Bugwug says, give us the ability to filter by both level and troop type when searching for Darklings. I don't know. I don't know on this one. Part of me almost feels like it's too much customization to an extent. I know it's kind of weird to say. I just don't know. I don't know. Part of me feels like you could just use this as a way to just only get the specific types that you want, And I just kind of like the idea that it's random in that sense. So I'm going to go with a no on this one. Let's go to Sonya Babes, game balancing unnerfing. Thanks to the latest update, collision between legions, this makes it come closer to real life. However, some elements of this game need balancing, unnerfing of some characters. Celestial units and other flying units are behaving like non-flying units. Flying units seems like climbing a mountain when headed towards a mountain. Flying unit can be chased and hurt by a mere infantry in plain field. To me, this is hilarious, inconsistent with your Legion collision update. Please unnerf all flying units and give them what they deserve. Give those flying units a speed they should have when in flight. Give them immunity from ground troops like infantry or cav. So this is interesting that this suggestion is being provided. I don't necessarily disagree with this, but I want to add a little bit on. My view is that we should not have any counterattack damage, and the only time a unit should be damaged is if that unit has been selected and is firing at another unit or is told to go and attack another unit. Otherwise, you should be always, because what this forces players to do is to be active and to only engage in fights or in war when they know they have time to be on, and it's less likely that they will just send their march out there for whatever reason. And because again, T4 and T5 players will do this. If you're spending early in a kingdom, you can just send your infantry out there and you're just counterattacking all day long. And you're able to gain a lot of merits from it, and you can sustain pretty for a long time if you are at a high tier level for your troops early on in the kingdom. Even in season 2, if you're someone who's spending and you're already max tech, you got max VIP, you can still, even if you're not engaged in the fight and attentive and actively doing things with controlling units, you could still be a factor. And this is why, kind of adding on to the game balancing on nerfing, I agree that with the flying units, there should be some type of animation. I also agree that if units are on a ridge, they should have something like a 10% increase in range, because I think that makes sense. And that's why I also feel that they just need to do away with counterattack damage. Like, I think it's one of those things where if you really want to take the next level in competitive gameplay for kingdom builders, you need to do that. So it, again, forces people to be active and to only fight when they know they have time to fight. And this is albeit disconnects and other kind of connectivity issues. Those are not really what we're talking about. Most people that are going out and fighting are usually available and in that moment have time to actually go and do the PvP. So again, do that. We'll see more Trusco come out. But yeah, I'm not against this. I maybe would like a little bit more detail here. So for that, I'm just not going to say anything, but I do tend to lean in that direction. So that's going to do it for me. We went through a bunch of suggestions, and I, of course, want to hear what you think. Do you agree? Do you disagree with my assessment? Do you have a different view on some of these? Let me know anything and everything in the comments down below. That's going to be it for me. As always, until next time, I will catch you later.